बच्चन सर राइट सर सामने हाँ हाँ पीछे 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 सर सामने आपके बच्चन सर सर सेंटर
I request Honourable Chief Guest, Honourable Minister of State for Health and Family Welfare, Government of India, Ms. Amitabh Bachchan, Dr. Hepatitis Singh, Regional Director, WHO South African Region, and Shri Amitabh Bachchan to kindly sign the pledge board and show the support for the cause, please.
चलो पीछे हो जाओ प्लीज थोड़ा पैसे थोड़ा एक मैं हट जाऊँ आपसे
जाने दीजिए
May I request our distinguished dignitaries to kindly be seated on the stage, please. Ms. Amitabh Patel, Honourable Minister of State, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Government of India. Amitabh Bachchan, Dr. Hepatitis Singh, Regional Director, WHO South African Region. Dr. Jagdish Prasad, Director General Health Services, Government of India. Dr. Hank Bentham, WHO Representative to India, Dr. Sari, Director Institute of Liver and Biliary Sciences, Dr. Godfrey Henshaw, Director Hepatitis WHO. For Health and Family Welfare, Ms. Amitabh Patel, our Honourable Chief Guest. Let's give her a warm round of applause as she comes to the stage. Let's give her a warm round of applause and let's give everyone a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. May I request our respected members of the press and media to kindly now take their places, please, in the hall so that we can commence with the function, please. Thank you.
Sorry, madam. How are you? Please, my name is English.
Now, we're honored to host the Global World Hepatitis Day event in India this year.
All of you to the concluding session of the observance of the World Hepatitis Day. We've had a series of technical sessions throughout the day. In the short while that ma'am has been at the helm of affairs in the Ministry of Health, we have all been impressed by her decisive leadership, and we look forward to having the benefit of her personality, her experience, her expertise in the days to come. We have honorable ministers from 7 states of the country. We have Honorable Health Minister from Haryana, Himachal, Jharkhand, Orissa, Sikkim, Uttarakhand, and I am presuming that the Honorable Minister from Maharashtra would be joining us shortly. A very warm welcome to all the Honorable Ministers from all across the country. Sir, your presence here has encouraged us in our effort and is also a very vivid demonstration of your commitment towards the cause of prevention, control, and treatment of hepatitis C. A very hearty welcome to the iconic personality that is Shri Amitabh Bachchan. Shri Bachchan is one of those category of individuals who have a very positive, profound, and immediate impact on the hearts and minds of people. And thank you, sir, for being here and giving us a booster shot in our efforts towards control of hepatitis C. Welcome to Dr. Jagdish Prasad, the technical head of the Union Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. I would also welcome Dr. Hepatitis Singh and the teams from WHO at various levels. We have representatives of WHO India, the regional office, and the global headquarters. And while welcoming all their representatives, I also would like to thank them for choosing India to be the host venue for this international event. We also have very many technical experts from overseas, members who've come here and given up their time to help us finalize the contours of our response towards
lamp and formally inaugurate World Hepatitis Day, please. The diya, when lit, emits light, derives energy. It is this very energy which is a life force which sustains us. Each wick being lit is passed from one to another, symbolizing the sharing of knowledge. Each wick being lit today is a prayer for global peace and solidarity. Our respected members of the press and media to kindly not make sounds in the hall, please. It's a very important day. Let's keep the sobriety of the occasion alive, please. Thank you. Thank you very much, distinguished dignitaries on the stage. I now have the privilege in requesting Dr. Gottfried Henschel, Director HIV Hepatitis, WHO Headquarters, to kindly give his opening address, please.
Thank you. Excellencies and honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. It is my distinct pleasure and honor to address you at the World Hepatitis Day global event here in India. I bring greetings and better ways of testing. Untreated, hepatitis B and C lead to severe liver damage and liver cancer. And this cancer can be prevented. More than 1.4 million people died worldwide due to the consequences of viral hepatitis in a single year. This has to change. And I dare say 2016 marks a critical juncture. Viral hepatitis will indeed no longer be the silent epidemic. Just 2 months ago, the 194 member states of WHO made a paramount commitment. They endorsed the first ever global hepatitis strategy with the first ever global hepatitis targets. In this global strategy, countries commit to major action to eliminate hepatitis by 2030. Let me just highlight one other target in the global hepatitis strategy, which is truly groundbreaking and will save the life of millions. Countries committed to provide treatment to 8 million people with hepatitis B and C medicines by 2020, up from what are currently only a few 100,000. The current challenge is to increase access to these medicines. The new drugs are still, in many places, too expensive. However, generic production of hepatitis C medicines is now leading to large reductions in price, down from 50,000 rupees to hopefully soon 15,000 rupees per person cured. Soon be reflected in a national program with identified elimination targets. India has been a trailblazer in many public health areas, and has been quickly adopting innovation as an important ingredient for success. What happened?
Apply for a visa to Middle East or maybe any country, you will not get a visa because your hepatitis B positive. Are we not discriminating? We need to stop it today. There is a professor of millions of people have their marriages broken. And I remember how I came in hepatitis B field. And I remember you might have listened to this story. In 1990, I saw a person whom I treated for hepatitis B and we failed. He was a senior bureaucrat. He had 2 kids, 5-year and 7-year-old. 4 or 5 years, I would say.
Who needs no introduction. However, what you may not know is his engagement with the issue of hepatitis. May I invite Dr. Jayant Bhavre to tell us more about Mr. Bachchan's association with this issue, please.
Dignitaries on dais and my dear friends, I thank WHO and Ministry of Health for bringing this occasion of Hepatitis Day to India. I think Indian subcontinents definitely deserve that because the burden of various forms of hepatitis is so big. I will not go into the details of that. Only thing is hepatitis A and E are basically waterborne, can be prevented by good hygiene. Hepatitis B and C have got a different story to tell. And for that story, one should remember that these are bloodborne diseases, but they are also transmitted from mother to child from the close contacts, what can be called as a horizontal transmission. Awareness among health workers, awareness among mothers, awareness in the family about not discriminating is very important for prevention of that. We have been always talking about hepatitis B, and in this small room that we have got here, we got hundreds of people here, but maybe there is a possibility that 2 or 3 of you may be positive for hepatitis B or C, and you are not even aware of that. WHO and Union Ministry is willing to lend its hand to treat this patient, as you have heard from my learned speakers earlier. The public at large is totally unaware of what is hepatitis B, what is hepatitis C. What you need is a gap which is to be filled up by somebody. You need someone who can go outside this room and can tell the people that, look, whether you got hepatitis A or E or B or C, something which is not only treatable, but which is preventable. We thought that you need someone who has got great presence in Indian mind or in Indian subcontinent, who is a well-known national figure, who can be trusted, and people respect him immensely. We couldn't think anything better than Mr. Amitabh Bachchan for this role. I have been lucky enough to be associated with him for certain reasons for a long time. I requested him, and Mr. Bachchan wholeheartedly said he will do whatever best is possible for prevention of hepatitis B. He doesn't need any introduction. I would just say that, Amitji, please spare some time, give the time to hepatitis B campaign, convince the concerned ministries to put in the efforts and the money to sustain this campaign for a few years to come. Thank you so much.
Honorable Minister of State, Anupriya Patel ji, distinguished guests on the dais, distinguished guests in the audience, ladies and gentlemen, do pardon my voice. I am trying to overcome a viral infection of cold. I want to thank the organizers today for having invited me here today on this very auspicious occasion when we celebrate the 28th of July as Hepatitis Day. There have been many debates and discussions throughout the day, through various forums and through various speakers. The speakers before me, who are more qualified to talk about hepatitis, have given you many statistics, so it will be futile for me to dwell on them again. I'm here today, ladies and gentlemen, to merely reiterate to you that I am absolutely committed to the cause of hepatitis. And if my face and my voice can propagate what we need to do towards removal, or at least the detection of this terrible disease, I am there with all the agencies that are now committed to work towards this cause. How this all started has a small story which was hinted upon by Dr. Serene in his very emotional appeal here, when he talked about an example of a porter who was denied a job in the Middle East because of the fact that he was diagnosed with hepatitis B. I raised my finger not just to the fact that I happened to play the role of a porter in one of my films, but in 1982, ironically, for the same film, during the course of an action sequence, I injured myself, and there were many bottles of blood that were required for my recovery, including bottles of blood and platelets. It amounted to almost 60. And we had around 200 donors, and I thanked them for it, because had it not been for their contribution, I may not have been standing here in front of you today. But unfortunately, one of the donors was carrying the Australian antigen hepatitis B virus, which went into my system. From 1982 onwards, I recovered from the terrible accident, and I thank the doctors of Breach Candy Hospital for my recovery. But during the year 2000, and some years into it, through my family doctor, Dr. Barve, through a random test that I went through, he discovered that I had indeed been infected by hepatitis B, and that 75% of my liver had been damaged. Ladies and gentlemen, I stand before you operating on just 25% of my liver. What is known in medical terms is I am a patient of acute cirrhosis of the liver, something that is normally associated with people and alcohol, but I am a non-alcoholic. I just felt that if I was able to propagate to the masses of this country through what I had been through personally, then it would be a very noble cause that I was taking up. I also took up the cause of tuberculosis because, unfortunately or fortunately, I'm also a tuberculosis survivor. In the year 2000, I was, quite by accident and by Dr. Barve, diagnosed for tuberculosis in my spine. And we went through a course of medication, and I recovered. I want to reiterate here and say strongly that people that are unaware of having themselves diagnosed regularly, religiously, may perhaps, as Dr. Barve had just mentioned in his speech, be carrying a virus which they are unaware of. Diabetes is another ailment that I work for. Diabetes, hepatitis, they are all silent killers. We are unaware of their presence in our body, and before we know it, it is too late for any kind of action to be taken. My appeal to all of you, and through the various programs that I hope will be designed by the World Health Organization, by the Government of India, I shall be able to propagate this fact that it is most important that all of us become aware of the fact that we need to be going in for some kind of diagnosis, some kind of tests, to at least know what our body contains, and if we are unfortunate enough to have this virus within us, then to assure you that a treatment is there, it can be done, and you can be cured. There are wondrous drugs that are coming out now, and I was speaking to our dear friends here who were talking to me about some modern drugs that have been now brought out in Switzerland, where the repair to the liver and perhaps repair to the disease is possible. I'm very happy to hear that. I hope that I shall be getting some of those doses myself, because I need it. And I also want to say that there are various programs that the government does, and I'm happy that there are very capable and able representatives of the Government of India here with us today. We need to have a very concerted program, ma'am, to put put the program of hepatitis on a more definitive basis. There are lots of budgets, and there has been talk before me on how much money needs to be put. Dr. Serene put it very ably.